What's up, fellas? Welcome to the Front Row Dads podcast. I'm your host, John Vroman, and this is the show for family men with businesses, not businessmen with families. If you're here for the first time, glad you dropped by. My guest today is Derek Fredrickson, and the anchor of today's show is really about how he moved his family from Connecticut to Paris and why he decided to do that, all the things that go along with moving your family, uprooting them, taking them to a new country. So I wanted to talk to him about, hey, what are the rituals and routines that stayed the same? What's changed? How have your kids adapted? What are schools like? What is life like? How do you run a business from afar? Because he got a very successful business, he and his wife. They've got more than 30 team members back in the States. So there's a lot of things to unpack here and get into. So I think you're really going to enjoy this show. And even if you're not going to move your family abroad, this is a show about change. This is a show about recalibrating in your life. And, we all face that in our own unique ways. So we're going to talk about shaking things up, shaking up the schedule, shaking up your life, and all the benefits that come from that. And of course, how he works through all the challenges of that. Like, how do you move from, thousands and thousands of square feet in Connecticut with your big house to apartment living in Paris? It's just a fascinating challenge. A little bit more about Derek. So, of course, a father, husband first, and then an entrepreneur. He and his wife run this business together, and you can check out more of that at boldheart.com. One of the things I really appreciate about Derek, and I felt this way about him for years, is that it seems to be that he is one of the good guys who is winning. So he's succeeding in business and life without, doing shady things. He's got a high level of integrity, and he's very honest and upfront, and he's a genuine dude, and I really like that style that he brings to his business. So anyway, he's in small business development. It's digital marketing, sales strategy, all the business growth from online marketing and sales. That's where his expertise is. So, we also get into, on a personal note, how he loves to ski, how one of the real draws of moving to Paris was skiing in the Alps, and we get into some of the benefits of being in that city, sipping wine, picnics, all that stuff. It's pretty cool. So he and his wife, who I know I'm probably going to say this name incorrectly, but I think it's Fabienne. Sorry, Derek. Sorry, Fabian. And they have 3 lovely children. He's just got a great family, and you can look him up online. We'll link to his website and all that at frontrowdads.com in our show notes. But guys, we're going to get into that in just a moment. Before we do, I've got a couple of quick things I want to tell you about. Number one is that if you're listening to the show as it releases, we are in the final few days of our open membership enrollment for Front Row Dad. So to become part of the Brotherhood, we only have this open for the last 2 weeks of June. So right at July 1st is the end of this. If you're hearing this and you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, but the point is, if you value learning from and with amazing people and you want to level up your game at home as a dad, as a husband, as a family man, then go right now to frontrowdads.com/FRD membership. That should get you to the page where you can learn how to become one of our Front Row Dad members. And this would give you an opportunity to join monthly live calls where you can ask questions and share your wisdom with a group of what we have right now is about 100 men who have committed to being in this brotherhood. You also will learn about some of our live events that we have throughout the year. So we have these retreats that are 3 days. We usually have about 40 men that attend these retreats where we get a chance to take a step back and work on our families and not just be in our families, which is also very important, but we all get the benefit. We all understand the benefit of perspective and getting a little space and distance so that we can make sure that when we are making moves, when we are saying things and communicating with our family, that it's effective. And that requires some thought, some opportunity to create space in your life and to connect with other people and share best practices. So if you're interested in that type of brotherhood, please check it out. The membership ends as of July 1st, and we only open up enrollment about 3 times a year or so. So anyway, go to frontrowdads.com/FRD membership, and you'll get more information there. And guys, if you happen to be watching this on YouTube somewhere, and if you're listening to the podcast, I'm in my hotel room here in Akron, Ohio, and I'm going to be speaking tomorrow at the University of Akron. And some of you know that for the last decade, I've done hundreds and hundreds of speeches on college campuses. It was something that I felt very passionate about and I wanted to do. But I wanted to celebrate something with all you guys today, which is that, Well, let me start with the end. Let me start with what happened. I sent an email to my web gal and I said, hey, let's take down frontrowoncampus.com, which is and has been the college speaking website. And this has been a big part of how I've served other people for the last 10 years. And I asked her to take down the website. And that was a big email to send because, and I was telling my wife earlier that I spent a good part of my life back in 2008, 2009, trying to get people to pay me $5,000 or $7,000 to come speak at a college campus. And I would have done anything to have college campuses lining up to have me, come speak. And now I've got to the point where I am all in on Front Row Dads, all in 100%. And for me to send that email today and to essentially end that chapter of my life where I'm not accepting any other college speeches, that was a big move. And I just wanted to celebrate that with you guys. Why does that matter? And you're like, why do I care about this, John? And here's why: because I'm all in on Front Row Dads. And I want to serve you, and I want to make this great for you, and I want to bring you the best interviews, the best information, the best strategies, the best ideas that will help you in your relationship with your kids, regardless of how old they are, in your relationship with your wife, your partner, that overall in your life, that if I can somehow add value to you as a family man, that is now my all in. That is what I'm going to do morning, noon, and night. And I am going to give it everything I've got. So I wanted you to know that today I officially shut down a part of my business, a part of my life. I mean, and this was a part of my business, by the way. This was multiple six figures. These are 40 to 50 speeches a year at, $5,000 a piece. And I loved it. I saw, I saw hundreds of universities and traveled all over and felt really good about the work when I did it, until I realized that my next chapter in life is Front Row Dads, that this is my all in. And this all started back in 2016. And now, we have, as I record this, we're about to run this masterclass tomorrow, which, by the way, you could still catch the replay of that. frontrowdads.com/5habits. frontrowdads.com/5habits will get you to the masterclass that my good buddy Hal Elrod and I are going to run and talk about. Hey, what do we feel are the 5 habits of Front Row Dads? The things that have made the biggest difference in his life and my life and for all the dads that are in this community. And we're going to share that tomorrow on a masterclass. So depending on when you're listening to this, you can go listen to the replay. But again, that replay at the end will tell you how to be a Front Row Dad member if you want to join the brotherhood. We have so many amazing people in this brotherhood, high performing, hard charging, entrepreneurial guys, many of whom are very successful at business, and yet they know that they need to put forth the same effort to growing in their family life as they do in their business life. So we mastermind for business. Why wouldn't we do that for our families? So anyway, guys, celebrating with you, big day today, and thank you for being part of this community of men who are dedicated to being the best that they can be at home. All right, that's enough rambling. That's a lot of rambling. If you're still listening to me, I'm impressed. Let's get into the show, guys. Derek Fredrickson, enjoy.
Hit record. The meeting is locked. I think I got everything squared away here. Let me just turn off my phone. And then I'll do your intro later, so we'll just dive right into it. Okay. And then here comes a little pause for editor. All right, Derek, here we go, man. This is our time, buddy. Thanks for joining me.
I'm excited to be here, John. I'm really looking forward to it.
So let's set the stage here for all of our listeners. You're in Paris right now. This is home base for you. And what time of the day?
This is about 6:30 in the evening here. Yeah.
Cool. 11 a.m. my time.
Yeah.
And so first of all, man, I just want to give you a compliment. And I believe I've said this before, and I hope to say this many other times. But from the minute that I met you, and from the time that I've been following your work, I think you're one of the most genuine, intelligent, and influential in the right ways type of dude that I've ever met. And so I just want to say thank you so much for spending time today. I'm so excited about getting to know you and your world and introducing you to all the guys. So
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That means a lot. And to hear that, it's very special because I love what I do and I want to make a difference. And to hear that coming coming from somebody like yourself. It means a lot. So I appreciate that very much.
When I first met you, you were in a space where there were some people that were operating. You're in this marketing space, and it was email that was actually the topic at the time. And I remember learning from some people that I'm like, oh, that does not align with me.
Yeah.
Like that feels really icky. And then I learned from you, and I'm like, oh, you can win and be a good guy.
Yeah, I think it's because when you talk about authenticity, right, and especially in the world of marketing, there's a lot of slick that's out there, right? There's a lot of, kind of misleading people and kind of smoke and mirrors and such. And I think when you talk about authenticity and living your message and doing it in integrity, it kind of cuts through, and people really resonate with that. So I appreciate that it made a difference.
I think that's a great transition to talk about your family and how you operate with your beautiful wife and your amazing kids and the life you've chosen to live. So let's set that up a little bit by maybe taking us to why are we talking to you from Paris, right? And just give us a little bit of that backstory, because I think this is in alignment with how authentically you've approached living your life and really true to yourself and true to and aligning with your family, right?
Yeah.
So give us the story.
Well, I think it originally started, we've been here almost 3 years now, and it started almost about 6 years ago. I'm a big skier. I love to ski. I've been skiing since I was 6 years old. I've never missed a ski season, and growing up in New England, in Connecticut, we would go to Vermont every weekend from almost Thanksgiving to April, so from November all the way to almost Easter. And, skiing in New England is pretty good sometimes, but you get your bad weather, you get your bad conditions, you get your crowds and everything else. And one night, my wife and I, after the kids went to bed, we're sitting by the fire having a glass of wine, and we were just talking about, like, again, another season where the skiing's just not good. I really want to try to find something different, something better. And, she said, you deserve to ski in just the best skiing in the world. And the best skiing in the world is in the French Alps. And I didn't really know where she was leading me down, but we started to dream a bit. We started to talk about what would that look like if we could create a lifestyle that would allow me to ski in some of the best skiing in the world. And so the seed was planted at that moment. And I know my wife is very strategic, and she can use that angle. And so it started about skiing, and we thought, well, let's think about where would we move to. Well, we can move to Switzerland, where they speak English still. And we were working together at the time, so we had that ability to kind of create what we wanted to do with our business. We could do it remotely. We can, run it from wherever we needed to go. And we thought, well, at the same time with our children, who were younger at the time, to have that kind of experience with the children, to spend a year abroad, right, in Europe. And I think my wife's originally from France, and to be able to have that type of experience as a family, we thought, well, let's see what it would take to make that happen. So we kind of dreamed about it. We kind of put the wheels in motion. And then about 2 years later, we kind of made a decision. Well, let's just go and see what it would look like. So we came to France, and we spent a week to the south of France, near the ski areas. And we got there, and I'd never been there before. I mean, I've been to France, but not in this area. We're going to move here. We're going to look for schools. We're going to find an apartment. We were set to go. And we got there, and we spent 2 days there out of the week. And I said, this just doesn't seem like home. This doesn't seem like the place I want to live. And I said, why don't we move to Paris? And she looked at me and was like, seriously? It was her dream to come back and move to Paris at one point and to live here. And so we decided as a family, to uproot everything that we had going on in Connecticut, the schools, the community, the business in a way. And we moved, and it was supposed to be for 1 year. And after we got here for about 6 months, it felt really strange to then have to decide, are we coming back to America? Are we staying in France? What are we doing? The kids just kind of got settled. We just feel like we're getting settled. It just seems too soon. So we had kind of a family meeting and talked about it, and the kids decided, we were in it. We wanted to stay longer. My wife and I, and the kids decided that they wanted to stay an extra 6 months. And I said, well, it's not really going to work to stay an extra 6 months. So we decided to stay a second year. And that second year is now turned into the third year. And now it's indefinite. We don't really have any plan on moving back. I mean, never say never, but we love it here in France. We love it here in Paris. It's a beautiful city. It's an amazing country. It's very different from America. And there's a lot of pros to that in terms of just having that experience as a family, as a business owner, with your kids, seeing everything that's come about in the last few years. So, we miss America, we miss our family, we miss our friends, but we're loving living the life here in France. It's really quite an amazing experience.
Yeah, man. I'm actually, like, I'm sitting with the feeling right now. Why am I so inspired by that? Like, I'm so inspired by that.
Well, I have to share and I got inspired from somebody who had done something similar. I was in a program once years ago, and I met this gentleman, very successful in business, just sold a multi-8-figure company, and he had just taken a year off and traveled around the world with his then kind of 8, 10, 11-year-old 2 children. And I remember standing at a group with him talking, and I just was in awe. How do you do that? How do you pull that off? How do you make that happen? I mean, you're running this business, and what he said to me is, you'll have an opportunity in time to run a business and succeed in business and growing that, and that's all well and good, but you're never going to have that time where your children are at that age to experience something that's going to have that much significance. And we really wanted to time it so that our youngest was old enough to remember it, right? And our oldest would be still young enough where there wasn't the resistance because of the friends and teenagers and everything else. And I felt this is something I want to try to do, and we can do this. Let's make it happen. I mean, we've manifested, we've created things together, my wife and I, and our business and our partnership and our marriage and our family, and said, why not? Why can't we achieve this as well? We've achieved so much. This is something that we can do. So that was kind of the catalyst to kick things off.
When you said you had a family meeting, right? And can you still hear me, Derek?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like I told you earlier, prior to the call, I don't know why my computer keeps my screens go black, so I wonder if the recording will still work. But if you can hear me, that's good. If you can't,
I can hear you.
So when you think about, you mentioned earlier about this being a family decision. So take us to that if you could, and let us know how did that actually go down? In what ways did you involve your family?
Well, we knew we wanted it to be a collective decision. I mean, obviously, it was really important for my wife and I to have the experience that we wanted. We also knew it wasn't going to work out if our kids were resistant to the idea, right? And they had also, in the first 6 months of living here, we had experienced moments of, why did we move here? Why, this is very hard, this is very difficult. I miss my friends, I miss my home, I miss my routine of what I was used to. This is completely different. And so we didn't want to, force the decision upon them, but we also knew that in our heart, we knew, in some ways better than they did, obviously, because as kids, they may not know in the long scheme of things what's in their best interest. So we knew this experience would shape their lives. We knew this experience would mean so much more than the difficulty that they may have been experiencing in the moment. But we also wanted to give them the space to express and share what's working and what's not working. So we literally sat down, and we do this all the time. We went and said, well, what's the pros and cons? What's the pros of staying versus the pros of moving back? The cons of staying and the cons of moving back. And we had a collective decision, right? I mean, at that time, my youngest was 7 years old, and he had just as much of a say as the rest of us. And we didn't want it to be just a few that were guiding us. We wanted it to be a collective decision. We ultimately came to the conclusion that this is what we wanted, individually and collectively as a family. We do that all the time. We do pros and cons as a family. We look at the benefits, the disadvantages, what's working, what's not working, and come up with a solution. And that's what we did.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
Derek, hold on one sec, buddy. We're gonna have the editor cut this out for a second. Anybody on YouTube, what's up? You can bear with me. Let me just see if I can get my camera working again from the right camera.
And I think I just need to do this.
I think one of my cables fell. There we go.
There you go.
All right, cool. Back in action. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Dude, let's talk about what's the same since you've moved, right, to Paris. What have you held on to? What traditions, what routines, what schedules are the same? And what's changed? Like, how is that such a positive pattern interrupt? And what came from, and what's been the result? What are the benefits, that you've experienced and your family's experienced by being in a new school system, being in a new culture and community?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, sometimes it's easy, I think, for most to look at perhaps what's challenging or what's difficult and kind of fall trap to that. And I think one of the things that we've always done is we always look at the positive side. One of the things that we do as a family, we try to do it every night, because when we have dinner together, mealtime here, whether it's dinner or on the weekends, Saturday lunch is a big thing in Europe, so 2-3 hour Saturday lunches is routine, and really having in-depth, meaningful family conversations. But one of the things that we do as a family is we go around the table and we say, let's do a positive focus. What's new and good, right? Because it's very easy to say, I lost my subway card, or I got bullied at school, or the French teacher didn't understand what I was trying to explain. And, there's a lot of challenges when you're uprooting your experience into something that's very different culture, language, everything. We've moved 3 times since we've been here in Paris. So to not feel like we're rooted in home is challenging, and especially for young kids, right? They kind of crave that normality, that consistency. So we always try to look at the bright side of things. And I know that sounds cliche, but it works. And I think when you focus on positivity, focus on what's new and good, and also what's new and good, and how are we doing that, right? So sometimes we'll say to our children, what was new and good at school today? Well, I got a 95 on my French exam. Congratulations, that's fantastic. How'd you do it, right? What did you do, and how can you do even more of that, as opposed to looking at sometimes, well, I didn't study the right way, or this was wrong, or frustrating, whatever that may be. In those experiences and those challenges, finding the positive, finding the new and good, finding the things that you can learn from, right? I think you've said it a couple times. I've heard it, which I love it. It's either you're winning or you're learning, right? And I love that expression, because it's easy to look at how we can win, but when we're not winning and it's difficult, what can we learn from that, and what can we improve on, and how can we be positive, right? We're very positive people. We're very loving. That's something that's always been a big part of our family. So, things that have changed a lot, right? Everything's been completely different in so many ways, and that's been a very positive, right? Not everybody can, enjoy that type of experience, but for us, we've been able to look at the experiences and the lifestyle that it's been, allowed us to do here in France, and that's really quite spectacular. We had, in Connecticut, we had, as some would describe, a very cushy lifestyle, right? We kind of call it the bubble, right? We had the private schools, we had the nice house, we had proximity to the beach, we had all of these great things, and we kind of uprooted that and changed it all in a moment. And from those moments of adversity and challenges and experiences, I think the kids have grown tremendously, having experiences that they never would have been able to have elsewhere. And so that's always been a big part of us as a family, is, what can we experience? How can we grow? How can we achieve more and do more in that way? And this has just been part of that evolution.
I'm glad you brought up the move from Connecticut to where you are, because you had a lot of luxuries in Connecticut, the private school, the big house. I was actually looking, because you said that you're in your apartment.
Yeah.
Right? And so let's talk about that for a second, because moving from a house with a lot of space into a city apartment might present some unique challenges. I mean, I was just thinking, like, one time with Tatiana, like,
I have no idea.
and floors and old buildings, like, how has that worked for you? How is downsizing your space? And by the way, I'm actually making a big assumption there. You might not have downsized anything. You might be in a...
Oh, we have big time. And we still own the house in Connecticut. It's not sold yet. It's been rented, but that was a big adjustment, right? I mean, even from the experience of living in a suburb to living in a city, right? To living in a house, to living in an apartment, sharing, my 2 boys were sharing a bedroom in the first time that we moved. They had never done that before. I know for some that's normal, but it wasn't their normality before, and they weren't used to that. Apartment living in Paris, they're small apartments, so having everything kind of in close proximity, again, has its benefits and its disadvantages. But it kind of brought us closer together, because we couldn't disappear to different areas of the house. We were always kind of in it together and spending time together more. And the beauty of Paris is that we would spend a lot of times outside. It's springtime here in Paris in the summertime, and we wouldn't have the big dining room or the big kitchen, so we would go and do picnics in the park. Right? That's what Parisians do. We never did a picnic when we lived in Connecticut. You do what the locals do, and you pack a picnic bag, and you get some a French baguette and some nice block of cheese, and maybe a bottle of rosé and a soccer ball for the kids, and you just go hang out in the park, and that's what you did. So there's a lot of...
Sounds really good.
And that's from that experience. What we realized is that living here in France, there's a quality of life that exists here that's different. I'm not saying it's better, but it's different from what I've experienced and the family has experienced living in the United States, in Connecticut, in a suburb. And, they really appreciate their time off. They appreciate the experience of living here. I mean, Paris is a beautiful city, and it's very feminine. It's it's gorgeous, the cafes, the streets, and everything else. You appreciate that beauty in a way. So everything from the apartment to taking the metro every day to go to school as opposed to having the nanny or the au pair drive the car and everything else. It's just different experiences. Walking all over the place. You know, we don't have a car here. We haven't driven, other than renting a car, we don't have a car anymore. And we had 3 when we lived in Connecticut. You know, it's just not what you do here. It's just a way of life. Yeah.
What do you miss most about the U.S.?
You know, I definitely miss family and friends. You know, for sure. We've made a lot of friends here, which has been great. A lot of expats, Americans, and you know, I don't want to say non-French, but people that have kind of done a similar experience to what we're doing here. Yeah. You know, it was not the easiest conversation to have with my family when we decided to move here. My parents had their opinions about why would you want to leave, and our friends as well. Why would you give up what you have in Connecticut? It's everything's, you know, perfect here. Mm-hmm. And I realized that, and I appreciate that. But that was a moment in that part of our lives where we had done that experience, and we were looking for something more, looking for something different. So I miss the family. I miss the friends. I miss, you know, simple things like American barbecue. I miss a good cheeseburger every now and then. But there's a lot of good to what's here in France. I mean, it's interesting also, the children here, there's a lot that they like more than what's in America. The school system here, as an example, they have this system which is 6 weeks of school for every 2 weeks of vacation. So there's a lot of time off. Yeah. And then there's the summer. So it's sometimes challenging as a business owner to have that much time off because we're having to plan, are we going, you know, are we on vacation? Are we working? What are we doing? And being able to balance both. But it kind of forces us to take that time off and you know, unplug and disconnect and be with the children and enjoy the whole experience.
Yeah. Boy, that's really cool. And something I want to just mention, that I'm having this internal dialogue as you're speaking about, not better, but different. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think about the changes that we create for our families, and that we don't always have to be looking to optimize and say this is better than this option over here, but that we can value different. It's almost like good marketing, where you go, I don't know, is that a better approach? Well, better is oftentimes just different, and shaking it up, like a workout routine that you shake up, you know, being exposed to different cultures, communities. I think that in and of itself, just being different, shaking up the schedule, is just worth noting, and maybe even inviting all the listeners to ask, like, how are you shaking things up? I mean, sometimes life shakes it up enough for you that you're like, enough different. I just want some consistency, and so I understand that flow as well. But it's just something to consider.
Yeah, I think one of the things that it's taught all of us, the children included and myself, is adaptability is a huge positive to have personally and professionally. Yeah. Being able to have these experiences and learn from them, and being able to kind of persevere, face challenges in different ways. You know, life lessons here are something that we're experiencing every single day. And I've said this to our children, that, you know, you're learning just as much outside of the classroom as you're learning in the classroom. Yeah. Because everything that happens to you outside in this new environment is going to test you, and it's going to ask you to step up and kind of rise above the challenge and persevere and problem solve and adapt and improvise. And these are skills and traits that will serve you 10 times down the road. You may not realize it now when you're in the 4th grade and you're lost on your new way to school, or you don't know the way on the metro, or you don't understand what your teacher's saying because you've just learned French and you've only been here for a year and you didn't speak the language. So through those moments of adversity, you have to kind of step up and become a different, better version of yourself. So that learning experience that happens almost on a daily basis for all of us, myself included, not just the children, but that's a huge part of it. And so the life lessons, you know, I say to the children that, you know, in America and in our kind of prior life, there were a lot of highs and lows. It was pretty consistent, pretty static, right? Here, there are higher highs, and there are sometimes lower lows, right? Those higher highs, we go to Italy for 2 weeks. We can experience things we've never experienced before. We're skiing in the French Alps, right? It's just these amazing things. But there are also times when there are lower lows, things that you wouldn't have to face as a challenge or deal with as a problem if we had been in America. So that, in that kind of moment, you have to step up and do what it takes to to rise above. And I think that's really a big part of the experience, is the value of kind of coming up from the things that are, holding us back, and asking us to do more and be more,
Yeah. How do you approach, so it's kind of cool that, one of the things that's coming up for me is this idea of like, hey, where are our habits that are important, our traditions, our consistency with our families, and where do we then create different, things that are different to shake things up, and where do we create a little bit more of those high highs and sometimes low lows, but that really serve us. So talk to us a little bit about your calendar and your routine. Like, what does a day in your life look like? Recognizing that for most entrepreneurs, there is not a standard day, but walk us through, like, maybe what is standard, or how do you approach your mornings? How do you approach time with the kids? How do you approach date night, or, right? Like, how do you schedule your vacations throughout the course of the year?
Yeah.
Micro on that if you could.
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I'm a huge believer. I mean, one of my values is consistency. I love consistency, so I'm looking for that throughout in so much of what we do. So, typical day for me during the week is usually I'll take my little one Oliver, who's 9, take him to school at about 8:30, and that's our special, Daddy Oliver time, just the two of us, which is great. Take the metro together, we hold hands, we talk about soccer, we talk about the World Cup, we talk about school. It's just our own little moment, just the two of us, which I really appreciate. Bring them to school, and then the 2 older kids can get to school on their own, so they've taken the metro, the subway on their own. And then I'm kind of in work mode for most of the day. I have an office at a co-working space here in Paris, and do my thing. It's interesting because obviously everybody around me is speaking French, and I'm, still learning the language, so I'm kind of immersed in my own routine of what I'm doing with our team and our company back in the States. And then after work, I either go to the gym. Sometimes we'll come home and take the kids to the park, go to a picnic or something like that. But the things that are sacred here are meals. Family time together revolves. My wife is an incredible cook, which I'm really fortunate to have. So she loves to cook. The food here is incredible. The market vegetables and the fruit and the wine is just amazing. So we make a big deal about having family mealtime. It's very sacred, which we started to do back in America as well. And we started to fall trap. And I know a lot do it. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying that this is better, right? It's just different. But we were driving the kids to soccer practice and swim practice and baseball games, and it was just kind of, we were running around and like, when's the time for us to get together and do that? So we do that a lot during the week, almost every night. We're very clear, my wife and I, that computers shut down after 6 o'clock. We're not working evenings. We're not working on the weekends. When we're with the kids, we're with the kids. When we're in business, we're in the business, right? And I've said before, if you're trying to do both at the same time, you're cheating somebody. Right? You're either cheating your family if you're still working, or you're cheating your business if you're trying to be with your kids. So having that siloed focus has been a big part for us. And then for my wife and I, we do date night consistently every single week. It's a huge part, sometimes even more. Usually Sunday nights or Wednesday night we'll go. I mean, there's cafes, there's restaurants, and just even if we'll just go have a glass of wine at a cafe, just to have that connection time, just the two of us. Those gems, as we call it, genuine encounter moments. We're really just kind of connecting, bonding, sharing, the two of us. Not about work, because we work together, so it's not about that. It's about personal. It's about each other. It's about our family. It's really having that connection as husband and wife, not necessarily as co-workers or owners of the business, and kind of having that separation in that way. So yeah, that's usually what it is. And weekends are just time to relax, enjoy. We're still new here in Paris, so finding different neighborhoods, finding different things to explore, different museums and experiences that we can do as a family. There's always, there's a lot to do, and then you've got the whole rest of Europe to explore. So the opportunities are endless.
That is so cool. I think that is one of the coolest parts about where you are, is that ability to just, the short travel to some, radical. I mean, listen, if you go from Texas to California, it's a different community.
Yeah.
But a very different feel than if you go from France to Italy, or from Italy to Germany, or whatever.
Exactly.
And that's amazing.
And everything, there's 10 different languages that are spoken from an hour flight of Paris, right? And that's also a big part of the experience. And to go to and have those experiences and have those vacations, which we try to plan. We've been to Italy and Greece and Amsterdam and England, and we've got our favorites and things that we haven't experienced yet that we still want to do now that we're here. And so we joke, one of the hacks that we've come up with is that when we're on vacation, we book the next vacation while you're on vacation. When you're in the mindset of enjoying your time in Italy,
That's good.
and you're thinking about what you're going to do for the summer and the fall, book the vacation then. Because when you're back in the routine of looking at your calendar and everything else that's going on with work, it's hard to find the time. You'll make all the excuses in the world. So when you're in the right mindset, book that next vacation.
That is a gem. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
How many weeks of total downtime do you think you get each year? Totally checked out of the business.
Totally checked out. I mean, that's a work in progress, if I'm being honest. You know, being vulnerable, it's hard sometimes because there's a lot that's going on in the business. I mean, even just moving here, we had to change a lot in our company. Our team is 30 people, and they're all back in the States. We're the only two that are running it here in France. So there's the time zone differences. We've had to go more online, do things in different ways. And having to move to France has forced us to make changes in the business, which we wouldn't have necessarily done if we were still living in America. And so looking at it in that way. But in terms of downtime, I mean, is at least 8 weeks of vacation throughout the school year. And when we're off, and we've got a great team that helps us, allows us to do that. And then the summer, you know, we're going back to the States this coming summer for a couple of weeks. We'll do some work things here and there, but that's a good month and a half as well. So you add all that up, it's like, it almost feels like 2 months, 2-3 months over the course of the year, where we're kind of unplugged and disconnected and appreciating that time off.
Hey, speaking of unplugged, and I know this might sound like a little thing, but it is a big thing. I know to many people through one-to-one conversations and posts that I've seen is the idea of phones. And you mentioned that computers are done after 6, but what about phones? What about people standing in the kitchen, texting, looking at their phones, checking social media? How does that work in your house? Has it been a problem? How have you solved it if it has? Yeah.
That's a great question. I have to make sure my teenage daughter is not listening, because if I'm being totally honest, we haven't figured it out completely. And that's what I appreciate about the people that you speak to on your show, is that they share what's really going on. It's easy to say, I don't check my phone, and we've got rules in place where everybody respects it. It's not perfect. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
So what I will say is that when we're together at the table, at dinner time or meal time, there are no phones, right? We're not looking at it. We're not texting. We're not doing anything else.
Yeah.
When we have those moments together, we're really trying to be present and really trying to enjoy that. At the end of the night, you know, I avoid, like I said, I don't open my computer. I'm trying not to look at things like Slack and mail and text. You know, the team, when I'm having dinner, it's the middle of the day for them. So they're full on, and if they need something from me, I said to my team, when you're having lunch, and you still need something from me, that time is closed. So it's going to have to wait until the next day. And unless we have this saying is that no small children will be harmed if it's going to wait another day.
Yeah.
Right? It's really not that big of a deal. Yes, we may think it's a big deal in the moment, but we've kind of been working at this, so it's not this urgent, like, I have to get this done now, or look at this now, it can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? It's fine. And then it conditions and trains your team, or our team, to know that when they wake up, you know, if you got to wake up at 7 in the morning to get me or my wife, that's what you need to do, because we're available at that time. So we don't have it figured out fully, but we're working on it. But we're very conscious that we try to, especially when we're together as a family, is to eliminate those types of distractions. Yeah.
Hey, what's your thought on text messaging with people, right? And I could set that up with, like, why I'm asking that question, but is that enough to answer that question without me leading you where I want you to go?
I want you to lead me where you want me to go now. That's an interesting.
Yeah, and here's why I ask. I'll give you a personal example of this, is that for me, texting feels like sacred space. There's a reason why the stat is like, what, 98% of texts get answered within 3 minutes. And why people are like, you know, some even voicemails now say, hey, for a quicker response, just text me. And while I appreciate and understand why they're saying that, and you know, one of my buddies who's very, very successful and has a lot of people texting him, you look at his text thread, it's like there's like 38 unread text messages at any given time, and he's like, I really like that people keep it brief on text. Like, I like that part. And I'd say, right, except the fact that, you know, for me, I don't want people texting me a lot. Now, listen, if you're a good buddy of mine, if you're a really top client, if you're my wife or my mom or whatever, I want you to have text, right? Like, I want to be able to respond to you. I want you to be able to get through. But I've worked really hard to get things off of text to where I literally will respond to somebody via email when they send me a text text message and they'll respond back on email saying, point noted about text.
I've done that as well. I've done that. If I were to look at my phone and look at my text messages, there was nothing work related on my text messages.
Yeah.
It's only personal. I am very clear of separating the two.
Yeah.
And I've learned this the hard way because when those worlds collide, then you can't disconnect. Then there is no separation. You're always plugged in. You're always hanged left and right. And so I have this hack that I use with my team and my wife, because my wife and I work together. And I've shared this with our clients, and it works really well, is that I never text my wife about work.
Mm-hmm.
We never communicate on text about work. We communicate on text about personal matters, about that husband-wife dynamic, the relationship. If there's anything that needs to be discussed on a professional level that has to do with work, we do that. We use a system called Slack as a team communication tool. So I'll sometimes will say, and I'll catch myself, because I wear two hats, right? I wear the husband hat, and I also wear the co-owner of the business hat. And I try to keep those separate, because when they collide, things can get a little tricky, right? We're having this intimate, wonderful, personal conversation, and then you kind of go into work mode, and you're, what are we talking about? I thought we were talking about spending time together. So I keep the text messages just for personal, and anything that's got to be in professional is an email. It's in the thing on my computer that I'm not going to open and not going to see. So that's what the team knows. I don't get anything on text for professional stuff.
Yeah, I think that's my vote is that's the way to go. I think that you've got to create a separation there. So yeah, I've got the same rule in place. Like, I don't want you to text me about anything work related. I want those texts to be, personal things. Yeah, that's great. I want to wrap with one subject here that I'd like to get your insights on, which is integrating business and family. When to do it and when not to. So, and let me set this up a little bit too about why I'm asking that. So, part of it is like, I get separation. I get like, where do we separate them so they don't blend together? That makes tons of sense to me. What I also think is important for me is to actually look at where they can blend together. For example, like, where can I bring my son into my business? How can I bring him into the podcasting world with me? How can I let him watch me get involved with running the business? How can I let my wife know enough about my business so that she feels connected to it or included in it, or that she's in the know, or whatever, right? There's parts of that. There's also things I learn at work, which actually, if I applied them at home, could help me be better at home. Some of my strategic planning that I'll put into place at work, if I actually applied that at home, it would actually be really good, right? Some of the same strategies of prioritizing and thinking things through. And so where do you see the integration behind that? Where does that work? And where do you find that you should absolutely keep them separate? We've touched on that a little bit already, but I just wanted to give you space, because I think you really are in this unique place of working with your wife.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be learned there.
Yeah. I mean, I think for us, and for me personally, there's a lot, I think, just in the space that we're in, right? We're in the coaching space, we're in the personal growth, kind of professional development space. There's a lot that we, sometimes put on our coaching hat, and we don't want to fall trapped to feeling like we're coaching our kids, right? And kind of letting them discover things on their own. But at the same time, there's a lot of valuable lessons that we can share, that they can learn from, in terms of how we are running the business and how we're growing the business, and how we work with our clients, and the experiences that we've realized that we can share to them. And then there's also more practical ways. I mean, we're doing our big 3-day event in the fall back in America, and we're bringing all 3 children to the event. It'll be the first time that they're actually going to be in the room. And I don't mean in the back of the room, just kind of sitting at the team table and just kind of watching. They're going to be integrated in the event. They're going to be sitting, sharing, being a part of it. And that event is not a business event. That event is about mindset. That event is about personal growth and law of attraction, spirituality and manifestation, the things that they don't teach you in the classroom. Yeah. But it's a huge value for us. I think, knowing what really, from a business perspective, what are the values that you believe in, whether it's positivity, new and good, personal responsibility, and the things that we live by, and values in our company and as a team, and then also bringing that to share with our children in practical ways, as coming to an event, or having them use some tools that can help them in what they're doing in school, right? If it's, we have an example of one, I don't know if you know the movie called Groundhog Day, with Bill Murray, where he relives the same day and gets better and better, right? Yeah. So we use an experience and a tool with our clients called the Groundhog Day exercise, which, if I were to do this all over again, what worked, what didn't work, what would I do differently? And so we share that with our children all the time. We'll print out the worksheet. We'll sit down if my kid had a bad day at school or something went wrong, and we'll go through that exercise and do it together. That's showing them that life lesson of kind of taking ownership and looking at the positive, but also how can you improve and how can you do better in that way. So there's a lot that we're trying to instill upon them, but not force feed, right? Them kind of observe and see. And that's part of our brand, right? We're very authentic, we're very vulnerable, we're very transparent, so they can see that day in and day out in everything that we do.
Super cool. I know I said that was kind of the last topic, but I've got one more question for you to wrap us up here. famous last words, one more question, right? I never adhere to that. And I mean never. Right? That's not an exaggeration. So let's talk about, I'm a curious person, Derek. I'm a curious man. How do you keep your cool? And do you keep your cool? Because you seem to me like somebody that keeps his cool. And most people would think if they just heard me on the podcast, they would be like, sounds like John really can keep his cool. That's what people have said to me. I'm not projecting. People have said this, right? And I'm like, dude, let me tell you about the times I have totally lost my shit. So just maybe talk to us about this. How do you keep your cool? And if you do struggle with that, what does that look like? And how have you dealt with that in the past? And where does it happen? Because I think emotional mastery is a big topic for our guys. And you seem to be somebody that's just got a good level head.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of who I am, how I'm wired, right? In terms of the type of person that I am. I'm kind of, like I said, I'm consistent. I'm kind of in the work that I do. I'm not a front stage guy, right? If you check out our company, you'll see it's very much about my wife, and she's kind of front stage and more backstage. That's fine. By me, I don't have the ego attached to being the one that's the face and the star and on stage getting the accolades. I feel valued and appreciated and significance in other ways in terms of how I show up with my family, how I show up with my children, how I show up with my wife, with my team, with our clients, and the impact that makes. And I don't take things too seriously. I think one of the values that I have and one of my strengths is levity, right? And always kind of looking at the bright side and kind of, bringing humility. And like I said, no small children will be harmed. So in acting in that way, which comes naturally to me, I do keep my cool, right? I kind of am more kind of like the stable rock, more or less, or the yin and the yang with my wife in terms of just kind of how we balance each other out. That works really, really well in our partnership. And so, but there are moments for me, if I'm feeling really challenged or really frustrated, sometimes I appreciate my alone time, so I might just go for a run. I appreciate being able to work in my co-working space by myself in my own little world. About 2 months ago, I just wanted to have some time by myself, and I went and booked a ski trip for 5 days and skied in the French Alps by myself. I needed that kind of alone time just to kind of gather my thoughts and just not have all of the distractions, the noise, and sometimes the work and the family and the pressures and all the challenges that are happening. Just kind of do something for me, take some time for myself, and really appreciate it in that way. That grounds me. So when I come back, I can feel more present, more connected, more energized, and not feeling that I'm all high-strung and stressed out because there's so much that's going on. For me, that works. That's a value of mine, is just kind of having that alone time, quality time with one of my kids, or quality time with my wife, and appreciating that. That kind of just brings me back and just energizes me to who I need to be and how I need to show up.
Mm-hmm. When you think of other rock star dads, other people that you admire and respect because of how they show up as fathers, as husbands, just in general with their families, who comes to mind and why?
That's a great question. Well, I mean, I think you first and foremost. I mean,
I asked the question, Derek.
Yeah, exactly. I really appreciate what you're doing and the message that you're sharing. I think it's a big impact. I would say for me, there's a guy by the name of Richard Rossi, who is the one that I shared that experience about earlier. Really kind of, when I saw him as both a successful business person and a family man, and really kind of balancing both, and a husband, right? So, a fantastic marriage, a wonderful, successful business, and great kids. Like, that to me is the trifecta. When you can put all those together to make it happen, that's a huge accolade, I think, a great thing to experience. So that's somebody that comes to mind. But I think anybody they're showing up and kind of living the best that they can in those different ways and making a difference and experiencing it at a high level, I give props to that. So the guys that are in your community, I see them showing up and doing that. There's clients of ours that I think that are seeing, what we're doing and doing it as well, kind of showing up to be a better husband or being a better business partner, a better business partner. I'm just doing my thing, right? This is not something that's a facade. I'm talking my walk, right? And I think that's something that I've always wanted to do. It's who I am, right? So I can't hide that. I'm just living my message.
I think a big value within our brotherhood is showing up. And showing up is an important part. Now, it's not enough to just show up. Like you've got to show up and do something. Like showing up to work is important, but then there's what you do when you're there. That is also a value. But it is step one. Step one is showing up. And a lot of times I think that whenever we have new guys that join our brotherhood online, our open and our free group, we ask them like, hey, what's one of the challenges that you have, or what's something that you want help with? And I think the most common answer is actually, how do I succeed in business and at home at the same time? Right? And that's a tough piece of it. So thinking about how we show up to both of those fully. And I think that's a real struggle for people, but it is something that we want to explore deeply in this show, and we want to keep having conversation and dialogue around it.
Yeah,
I think about balancing that, buddy.
Well, it's not easy, right? I would be the first to admit I don't have it figured out, but I think it's a balancing act. And like you said, showing up fully in both, right? Like I've heard, there's some guys that are crushing it online and internet marketing or business coaching space, but they're they don't have it together on the home front, right? And there's others that are, just amazing on the home front, but they're trying to figure out how to make this business thing work. And everybody's on their own path. Everybody's on their own journey. And just because you might be looking elsewhere and say, how are they doing it? And why are they at this level and I'm not? Everybody's got their own kind of journey that they got to go on in their own way. And I've been doing this for a little while, so I've kind of figured it out. But it's been an evolution. It's been a learning process, right? Where every day you kind of either you're winning or you're learning, and you gotta take those as they come. Yeah.
And I think also that when we talk about family men with businesses, not businessmen with families. And I think a lot of guys, when you go, when you look down the road and you talk to the guys that are in their 70s or 80s who are fathers and say, tell me what's your thought that what do I need to know? And they're like, hey, if I had one regret, it's just not being there enough for my family. I work too hard. Hear that constantly. You almost never, and I say almost never because I'm sure somebody out there feels this way, but 99.9% of the time, you won't hear somebody say, hey, I really wish that I would have spent less time with my family. I really think I left $1 million on the table in my business. You just want to hear it. And so I think that when a guy looks at how do I succeed in both, you go, here's the deal. You might think you need to succeed at work to be a great dad, right? That's the first objective. I've got to put my family to the side, hustle and grind to build this business so I can provide for my family. I would just encourage guys to be very careful of where that road leads you, because one day you're going to wake up and your kids are going to be 18, and that was your belief system for the last 18 years. And you're going to miss that time. Versus if something has to fail, let it be your business. And in fact, I would even say, like, I don't think it has to, by the way. But if it had to, right? If there had to be one that failed, let it be the business and not your family.
I remember when we moved here, if I'm being honest, in the first year or two, things changed for our business. It was a real challenge, and it wasn't on the trajectory which it had been. And that was a challenge for us. And I remember we talked about it, my wife and I, and we were working with somebody at the time, and he gave us this perspective, which is, you may not be winning in business right now, but with what you're doing with your family, with what you're doing with your children and this experience, you are winning 10 times in life.
Yeah.
And so when you look at it from that perspective, it really kind of makes it whole. Yeah. And that, I felt a sigh of relief, because I said, the business isn't crushing it. We're not doing what we thought we would be doing. We didn't get these projects done, everything else. It's like, hold on a second. Like, take a step back. Look at where you were and where you are and how much you've been winning and what you've been doing with your family. You can't put a dollar price tag on that. That's huge.
Yeah.
So having that perspective is a big part.
Well, we want to have our cake and eat it too. We believe in that. We're entrepreneurs, right? We want to have it all. And in many ways, we teach that. You can have a great business and you totally can. So when we're not getting that, we look at it and go, what's broken? What's wrong? How do I fix this?
What's wrong with me?
Yeah, what's wrong with me? Jim Shields, one of my good buddies, he's author of the Family Board Meeting. He was at our very first retreat, and he said something that stuck with our guys. He said, guys, sometimes when looking at your life, business just has to suffer. Period. Like, if you will make a decision, it will be that business has to suffer because I'm going to devote my attention to my family. Right?
And I agree wholeheartedly.
It's just like, look, do I want to have it all? Of course. Do I think I can build a successful business and family? Of course. But sometimes, if I am completely with my kids and the business is calling at my attention, hey, it might suffer at the end of that. But, I'll learn something from it. We'll all learn something from it. We'll thrive in the end.
And that's what I love, because when you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you'll know you'll overcome that. You know that you can have another time. It's not like it's done. You'll never be able to achieve that goal. It's just been put on pause for the next 12 to 18 months while you regroup and reassess and do what you need to do. And so to take that step back and realize, I crushed it in my family the last 12 to 18 months and the impact that this has had. And yes, the business has suffered, but I know that I can actually still achieve so much more because I'm a believer in that, right? That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and guys, don't use that as an excuse to suck in business.
No, that's not the message we want to share.
But the truth is that, hey, look, these are all conversations we've got to have, and they're in context, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you got to take the good of these comments and these conversations and apply them in your world, because everybody's got a really unique situation. Derek, this has been awesome, man. I really love this conversation. I really love who you are and how you're going after life. Thank you so much, man. I'm a better human. I'm a better dad and husband because of today's chat. Is there anything you want to say to the guy? Anything at all that you just had on your mind that we just didn't get a chance to cover? Final words to the front row dads.
I really appreciated this conversation. It's fantastic. I love sharing the message with the community. I think it's as we first connected, I felt in complete alignment with what you're doing and what you're sharing, and so I applaud you for that, because it's really making a difference, just not only to me individually as a dad, as a husband, and a business owner. It's been huge. But I will say this, that one of the things that I just keep coming back to is that in the moments that you can share these experiences with your children, which are going to sometimes be challenging, and ask them to step up and learn from that experience and learn from the positive and learn from the good. There's so much value in that. And as kids, sometimes they don't really fully realize it because they're kids, right? They're looking at tomorrow. They're not necessarily looking at next year or 10 years down the road. But when you have those opportunities and can give those experiences to your kids, it doesn't have to be moving to France or to Europe or whatever that may be. But there's so much life lessons that can be learned, especially outside the classroom, on a daily experience, on a daily level. And when you can highlight those moments for your kids and share those experiences with your kids and have them learn from those experiences, it's a huge, huge game changer.
Yeah, no doubt. Great wisdom, man. And hey, we didn't prepare for this question at all, so I've got to put you on the spot here, but you just became a Front Row Dad member. I can't help but comment that as I record this, we're days away from actually opening up membership again. And this is a process, by the way, if you're listening, where guys would learn about Front Row Dads, apply for membership. It's a cultivated and curated community because we have a specific type of dad that we would like to invite into our brotherhood. And but if you're out there listening and you're an entrepreneurial minded guy, a guy who resonates with being a family man with a business, not a businessman with a family, then this might be for you. I'm curious, Derek, you're newer to the brotherhood officially, but why did you say yes? Like, if somebody's out there listening, maybe you could help them to think through that a little bit. Why did you jump in?
For me, it was because the message of what you're doing and putting out there resonated with me at such a high level. I knew I had to be a part of it, right? And because I didn't know that this existed. I didn't know that Front Row Dads was there, and that community existed in that way. I mean, family men with businesses, not businessmen with families. That changed everything. That one line shifted my entire thought on what you're about, what this community is about, what this brotherhood is about, and what this group is about. And I would say, if you are a dad or an entrepreneur or a father or husband, and that resonates with you, this is a great community to be a part of, because it's unlike anything else that I've seen. And I've been talking about this with you yet, John, but I'm hoping to start to build a European part of this brotherhood here across the pond, because I'm an American living here in France, but I'm sure there's guys like me I know all over the world. And so when you've got that message to share, let's start putting the troops out there and let's start making a difference in all corners of the world. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
That's cool, man. And we were talking pre-show about visions of the future, and one of the questions that is showing up for me, and I'm talking with some of my friends and fellow brothers here in Front Row Dads, is, hey, what would it look like for this thing to be, operating in 100 countries, 100,000 brothers part of this, and a business that could be looked at as $100 million business? What does that look like, and how many opportunities does that provide for people, and how many connections are made, and how much wisdom is then shared with a solid network, unlike anything that's ever been built in the world before. And I don't care if anybody ever knows my name in that process. I just want to be a part of building the network that allows for men to share this concept, because these are the things that I think we all have agreed on. I wouldn't even say they're my ideas. They're our ideas that have been cultivated by a community, and I just happen to be somebody that's asking some questions, building some bridges, connecting some dots, and focusing my attention there.
And you're delivering that message, and this is something that we believe and we share with our clients, is that, when you've got a message that resonates so strong and you believe in it, and that's that driver of the purpose and mission, it's never been about you. It hasn't been about you. It will never be about you. It's about the ripple effect. It's about the impact that can have. And when people really get that, and they realize, I'm just the messenger, I'm just a vehicle, and let this come through me to make the impact that I know I want to make and I can make, that's where a significant change can happen and a big, big difference. So I love that. I love that.
Front Row Dads, France.
There you go. Charter member right here.
Hey, thanks again, Derek, for your time today. Really appreciate you opening up, talking to us about your world. And again, man, just looking forward to building our friendship in the years ahead.
Thanks so much, John. I appreciate it. It's great chatting.